Yusuf Kadora. Yeah, I think we pronounced. I had to practice that earlier. PhD is presently positioned as the academic program specialist two at Fort Lauderdale Research and Education Center within the University of Florida. Go Gators! His doctorate achievement in geomatics science from UF underpins his concentration and formulating a reciprocal technique for georeferencing oblique tower mounted FEOCAM images. Oof. Holy moly. Sorry, I got to let somebody in. Sorry. Yusuf holds the role of chapter coordinator at Florida Surveying and Mapping, Broward County, and currently serves as the board member for American Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. Beyond his geomatics science PhD from the University of Florida, he possesses a Master of Science in Computer Engineering, also from the University of Florida. Prior to his role at University of Florida, he accumulated proficiency through employment of geospatial consultancy company and Esri affiliate in Dubai. So what better person with that background to talk about AI in geomatics? I love that. That's I think this will be a fun conversation. So I appreciate you taking a short time frame to. I know you just presented this in Miami last week, and so I thought it was a kind of a fitting topic for us as well. So I appreciate you taking the time and jumping on. So
perfect. Thank you very much, Trent, and thank you. I would like to thank the Mentoring Mondays team for this wonderful opportunity. I'm really excited. I look forward to sharing my AI insight with such a large and enthusiastic, audience. And actually, it's event like this that allow us to grow our knowledge and network and build a sense of community. So I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to contributing to its success.
Nice.
So I want to start with the outline. Basically, I just want to say something about AI, and then something is happening in University of Florida, how they incorporating AI, and then we'll talk about fundamentals of AI and the synergy, why we are lucky as surveyors to be at this point of time and leveraging the AI synergy that has been created, and then the geomatics growth and conclusion. Let's start. AI has been there for a long time. When I was doing my computer engineering master's degree, it was all about character recognition and voice recognition. And now we see it in the market as Siri, personal assistant, Siri, and the character recognition. In the past, voice recognition was person dependent. You have to read multiple paragraphs in order for the machine learning to predict everything you are saying in the proper way. It was person dependent. Now, because of the immense amount of training and the data that is being used, it's becoming more and more smarter, I would say. And the autonomous vehicle, of course, you've seen that. Smart home automation. I worked a little bit with assisted living, how I would say technology helped senior people to live independently in their homes. So I can see now AI also incorporating at the mental wellness part for senior people who are sitting at home and they need some conversational interaction. And so, and also the chatbots, the customer satisfaction, the customer support that you see, social media, navigation and maps, education and VR and virtual reality and augmented reality. I'm going to jump and talk about ChatGPT. This is one practical slide. I'm sure everybody is aware of it, but it's good to mention it in this context. So I assume if you are in your career as a geomatics person or a surveyor, you make sure you use ChatGPT in a way where it looks. So you need to look at ChatGPT as having a consultant in every single field. If you need an HR consultant, you say, I want you to act as HR consultant, and you will provide me, you tell ChatGPT what it needs to provide you, and then you put the specific request and you can have a conversation. Even if you're going for a tourism for Grand Canyon or anything, and you want to get some insight, what is the best part or how to plan your trip, I want you to act as a tourism consultant and provide me with this. So the best way of leveraging this, of course, is by training. And the most significant way I would say is about building a brand. Every single one of us has to build their own brand on social media. Nobody will do it for you at the individual level. At the company level, this is also an opportunity to take your brand to the second level with the minimum and most cost-effective way. So we will talk about ChatGPT and how other people are doing it. Some of them, I know some people now, they're developing something called Video GPT. So you throw a video, they write some code, they throw a video, and then the video will be streamed, the captions will be captured, and the images will be analyzed, and then you can have a conversation about the video. So in the future, I'm just mentioning this, imagine there will be a LiDAR GPT, where you throw the point cloud and then you start getting, I want the feature, the curve, I want something. This is just the beginning. So we are living at just the beginning of the AI events. So here, the people are divided into two camps. Some people look at AI as something is going to grow their business, grow everything. And some people are really on the scared side, and they're saying it's going to shatter my business, it's going to ruin everything. So here I have a question for you. Where do you see yourself? So please send this message as an SMS to this number, and we will be able to see from our participants 34, where do we see everybody? And after you send this, then you can type the answer. I will ask you the question again, and then you can type the answer. It's my first name, last name, 592. Text it to this number, 22333. Of course, people who are watching the recording, they will not be able to do it, but this is just only for the live to get a sense of where the people are and where do they stand. So the second thing is this question. So we see the answers. So 78% optimistic, realistic, and the rest is optimistic and realistic. Sorry about the formatting because the display has to be a certain size in order to show it, and it's going to be so tiny, so I didn't do it before we start. But as we see, luckily, we are on the optimistic, realistic. A lot of people, when they talk about AI, they are in the optimistic and realistic, which is fine, because this is how we become challenged to do what is better. So AI in education, because I'm part of University of Florida, I want to share with you what's happening at the education level. This guy, his name is Chris Maczowski. He's the founder of NVIDIA. NVIDIA has all the graphics. Anybody who's dealing with big data, they need NVIDIA, and probably you know about that. He's a UF, he's a Gator. He came back to UF and he said, here is $70 million. And he provided UF with the fastest supercomputer in higher education. And they call the supercomputer HyperGator AI. So he said, I want to hire 2 AI professors in every single department. His idea is to have AI across the curriculum. So we have 120 undergraduate majors, and he wants all these majors to get a sense of AI, 3 courses minimum. So those AI professors will develop context-based. If you're studying psychology, then it's going to be AI in psychology. So 3 courses in every single major that will be taught. If we want to look back and share with you how this is happening, if you remember in 1990 when Microsoft Office came, they said, doesn't matter what you're studying, you have to learn Office, PowerPoint, spreadsheet, and Word. Some people said, no, I am a musician, I don't need Excel spreadsheet. So they told them, you need it, but you don't know. You have to wait. So it's coming. So as you see, UF is taking the lead of building the right workforce for the future. And I want to mention something that Chris Maczowski said. He said, we don't know what to teach the students. We don't know what the market needs, but we need to start early. And I want all the participants today to remember something about starting early. If you start today, the little vocabulary that you can get about AI is going to allow you to shine in the meetings and everywhere you go in the work. After 5 years, when everybody is already well aware and educated about AI, you're going to miss the opportunity and it's going to be too late. So this is the right time, even if it's a slow but consistent way of building your knowledge. I would recommend start early. It will allow you to shine and be competitive. So now we'll talk a little bit about the fundamentals of AI. This is the math and statistics, and this is the computer science. In between is the machine learning. And this is the domain and the business knowledge. In the middle is the data science. Of course, we talk about machine learning and we talk about data science. And this is an opportunity to tell you where everyone. So in order to give you an example, let me jump to the example. Please read this example. I'll give you a minute or so. Because a lot of people in this, and I mean in any industry, they use machine learning and AI and data science as if it's the same thing. So basically, machine learning is to teach the system about how to predict. So you bring all the photos of a stop sign and you provide it for machine learning so the system can predict when you see a stop sign. When I say all kinds of photos at night, broken stop sign, dirty stop sign, everything, like every kind of stop sign image, you put it into the system so you increase the prediction chances. Artificial intelligence is the action of applying the brakes. So now the autonomous vehicle see the stop sign and it applies the brake. Data science is to look back and say, how good is my algorithm? Did the car stop in the right place? So if you want to translate this into the voice recognition system, machine learning is to bring all the paragraphs and how the people read them or, pronounce all these paragraphs and feed it into the system. Artificial intelligence is you say something and of course, and the machine learning predicted artificial intelligence, some action will happen. Data science, it look at the inside. Did we get all the words correctly or not? So this is data science. How good is your algorithm? In the past, we used to have a floppy disk, 1.4 megabyte, and that was big data at that time. Anything beyond that, people say, no, this is too much. I cannot, we need multiple floppy disks. And then we came to of course, CD-ROM, 700 megabyte. And then we came the DVD, which is 5 giga. So those were the big data at that time. Now, if you scan a state, it's hundreds of terabytes. If you scan a city, it's tens of terabytes. So we are at the terabyte level where we say this is big data. Very soon, the petabyte will be a USB flash drive. And we can see it happening from the trend. So, of course, in AI, we have the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning is you go and you say, this is these are apples. I want you to find me all the apples, and then it will do the clustering for you and identify the apples. If you do unsupervised learning, it will do the clustering without knowing what is what. And when we talk about training, let's talk about LiDAR point cloud. So if I train my LiDAR point cloud to predict all the horizontal traffic lights, that point cloud, it will predict the horizontal traffic lights. So if there is anything in the data that has a vertical light, traffic light, it will not be able to detect it. So whatever you train your system, this is how good your results are and your predictions are. AI synergy. We as geomatics and surveying people are very lucky to be living in this age because of what's happening. So the artificial intelligence is happening, the data science, big data, statistical, the machine learning. Geomatics is in the middle and autonomous vehicle where real-time decisions are needed. So for the geomatics people, we go to the field, we collect the data, we come back, we come to the office, and we start doing the data processing and the producing the products. For the autonomous vehicle, it has to be real time. It's on the spot. It has to know where is the curb. And of course, the interest for the autonomous vehicle is to find the curb to avoid it, to avoid hitting it. In the geomatics world, we find the curb. We build a database. I have a slide about it. In the geomatics database, in the geomatics field, we are more interested about all the attributes of the curb and the temporal and the, you know, so that's the difference between autonomous vehicle and geomatics. Moore's law is everything is getting smaller. Bell's law, new computing class every 10 years. So we saw from the ENIAC, the largest computer, and then we went to the personal PC, one person, one computer, and then we went to the tablets, the phone, and we have the drone and the autonomous vehicle. So the sensors are getting faster, smaller, cheaper, and numerous. Why they are building those sensors? Not for the geomatics people. They are building it for the automotive industry. We are lucky to be at this point of time where we can get those sensors cost effective with the highest, cost effective and acceptable resolution where we can deploy it on the drone. And in the past, it was a mainframe, one computer, multiple users. Then we went to the pink graph where one person, one computer. Then we went to the green where is one person, multiple computers. Now the trend is going back to the mainframe. So every car will be connected to the supercomputer through 5G. If you put a supercomputer in every car, the cost of the car will be unaffordable. So now they want to build that supercomputer where everything is happening in that place. So the industry for the automotive industry, the mapping sensors that we put in the automotive industry are really getting very popular, and you can see in every single aspect. And this is why we are benefiting as geomatics people. In the past, people will graduate with a geomatics degree, and unfortunately, they never seen a LiDAR sensor because it was in the hundreds of thousands, and they deal with point cloud, but they never seen a sensor. So geomatics growth. Why geomatics is growing? And this is the good news for me. Geo means earth, matics, of course, everybody knows this. Matics means measuring everything. When I say everything, above ground, underground, below ocean, indoor, outdoor, who's gonna do this? It's gonna be geospatial people. So there will be a great opportunities that's gonna come from, from this mapping. And when I say mapping, mapping indoor for civil defense, cables behind the walls. So everything has to be put in a digital format. So this allowing the geospatial science to keep growing and to take more attention at the educational level and attract more people, hopefully in the future. One of the things that will allow it to grow is the digital twin. So every single area in the world, there should be a twin on the digital and virtual world. So who's gonna do this? The geospatial people. Now, of course, this is not a task that one entity or one company can handle. So the talks now about the digital twin is to identify the platform where everybody will contribute. If you are at the university level, so the university will upload their, version of their area for the digital twin. So now they are looking at the standards and the platform and make it open source where everybody can contribute. Now, from this digital twin, there is the idea of course, they're not talking about it the same as the metaverse. The metaverse is the new way of having social media, of dealing with social media. So there will be an exact copy of the world that we are living in. So you can rent an apartment in Beverly Hills virtually, and your avatar, of course, AI will allow you to train an avatar that look exactly like you. If you have an accent, it's gonna talk like you. So your avatar, you can pick your avatar. If you don't have six packs, you can have your avatar have six packs.
Mhm.
You can buy the expensive car. You can buy. It's exactly like somewhere, and this is what we're pushing, is to move the social media to that area. So the idea is that you might be sleeping and your avatar is socializing with some people, and that you put, depending on your character and what are the things. So I have a friend here, he's doing his PhD, he's saying that something like this, something related to AI. Let's say your avatar crossed a red light. Who's to blame? Is it the person who trained the avatar, or is it the algorithm, or is it something like this? So I want to say here that that a lot of people already interested in this. Why? Let's say I move a lot in my life, so I keep going from one place to another, and I change furniture, and there are some furniture that are dear to me. So I can 3D scan those furniture and put them in my metaverse apartment. So regardless where I go, I keep my metaverse apartment with all the furniture that I want. So if you have a pet and you train your pet, you put the avatar of your pet on the metaverse, the future I'm saying, even if the dog or the pet dies, you still can go and play virtually and talk. And so again, the conversational part that you see in ChatGPT, this will allow you to have a conversation with any avatar in the world. This is where they are preparing us. The only difference is going to be person specific. So that person, his education is the one who's training that avatar. And for the digital twin, the idea is to build the future. This is Cesium is partnering with Google Earth. I'm sorry, the voice, I didn't share it. It should have been done at the beginning of the Zoom. So, but it's showing you that the 3D of the whole world is going to be in one platform. And what I want you to see, because of AI and because of the autonomous vehicle and everything is happening, so the future is going to be as crowdsourcing. Like when you go and you see an accident, you put there's an accident. This is crowdsourcing. So we look at the autonomous vehicle as a mobile mapping vehicle. So every single car is collecting data. And this data is submitted somewhere, maybe to this 3D that I shared with you, a supercomputer. So now if you have some work to be conducted in a certain street or intersection, you don't need to send a crew. You just go to this platform and it's data on demand. And whenever you're capturing this data, you can say who's providing it, Tesla, Ford, or it's exactly like the USGS data when you get a point cloud, the 3DEP or anything. So every data, whoever is providing that data, they will have a certain characteristics, how accurate it is, what sensor they use. So you pick which one you want and you can bring it and you can do the field that you want. So a mobile mapping maybe is not needed in the future for any surveying company. So the geomatics growth, there is two things, the autonomous vehicle way and there is the geomatics way. The autonomous vehicle way, they are not facing any bottleneck. They collect the data, they're only concerned about the curb. Tell me where is the curb and then avoid it and keep going. Versus the geomatics people, they go to the field for 1 day, they come to the office, they spend 5 days processing. And this is the bottleneck because of the availability of the sensor. So how to solve that? Of course, you collect a lot of data and you need to be super specific. What exactly do you need in order to avoid the bottleneck? But if you come to the office and want to extract everything, that's where the bottleneck happens. And yeah, so all this data about our driving behavior, I would say, this data is being collected, and of course somebody is interested in it, the insurance company, The marketing people, they want to know where you eat your dinner, where you eat, what are the places that you visit. So the behavior of people is very important. And recently, not only the behavior, the emotion, how do you react also? The emotion of people, this is something AI is very interested in. When you're sad, when you're happy, how do you act and stuff like that. So for the photogrammetry, I told you about scanning the avatar, getting the 3D and the furniture. The car does of course, most of the cars, they use camera sensors. So the input is a camera and the output is the steering angle and the throttle speed. Assuming that if it's negative, the throttle speed, it's a brake. So the drones, they're replacing the fireworks. Of course, the future of the drones is delivering stuff. And the only problem now is the battery and the power. If you read more about AI and drones, people are looking at flying cars. So there will be no streets, no bridges. It will save a lot of infrastructure cost and the sky. It's exactly in the past, if you bring somebody from, so there was a transition between horses and cars in the past. Some people said, no, I want to stay using my car, my horse, not the car. And then people said, if you buy a car, you have to go fix it somewhere. So if you bring somebody from the horse age and bring them to look at the highway and see like 8 lanes, the cars going together, they will be shocked how these cars doesn't hit each other. It's something that they cannot understand. So when you look in the sky, imagine the future with the flying cars and everything, how it's going to be like at a certain attitude for commercial, at a different attitude for, you know, like delivering. So this is just an optimistic, unrealistic, the flying car. This is how I categorize it. And of course, the underwater mapping, a lot of people are interested in the corals and stuff like that. Remote sensing, of course, in Florida, it's a big thing to detect how much support and the FEMA assessment after a hurricane hits. So if we want to talk at the LiDAR level, what AI can do? Of course, object detection, calibration, scene classification, automatic geometric change detection, which is like what I said about the FEMA. The challenges that everybody is facing now is sensor variability. So you have mapping grade, you have survey grade, and different sensor. Data variability, you have aerial, you have terrestrial, and you have mobile. Training complexity, depending what you train your system, that set that you use, this limits you to what exactly the feature that you can extract. The point density, so if you're using a point density, let's say you want to detect, depending on the feature, if you want to detect stop signs, you cannot use an aerial sensor. So you have to use a mobile or terrestrial sensor, and you have to have between 50 to 100 points. 2D is easier to train than 3D. So to do technology alignment with what the feature that you want to do, consistent training, of course, when you say AI and feature detection, you have to do immense amount of training. Human in the loop, a lot of people, they are training their system, it will reach 80% performance. And then somebody sitting on the computer and say, omission and commission, you missed this curve, this is a curve, and then they run it again and they bring the performance to 85 or 90. Avoid overtraining. When you do that thing with people sitting on the computer and it will make the algorithm less precise, because instead of being general, now it's more specific to the things that you are doing. Colorizing, it will facilitate also the feature extraction. What's happening, a lot of people are relying on orthophotos, and they feed whatever they detect from the orthophoto into their LiDAR point cloud, saying in this area there is a curve, in this area there is whatever feature they are looking at. They look at the imagery and they give insight for the AI algorithm. In conclusion, of course, this is unrealistic, optimistic. The people behind AI, they want to make the car driverless, the aircraft pilotless, the hospital doctorless. And actually, it happened. They brought 5 doctors specialized in lung diseases. So they gave them an imagery of the lung, and then they gave it to an AI algorithm to do the diagnosis. And the AI algorithm was better than 5 doctors together in diagnosing. And of course, the university is professorless. And this is where I see the value of Mentoring Monday, because a lot of people are relying on online sources and, so even recorded things, restaurants, chefless. So basically every single job, peopleless. And this aligns with the people that doesn't work, because recently we have seen that a lot of people are resisting to go to work. So I saw one ad saying we hire people that show up. We don't need people who know what to do, how to do things. We want people who can show up to the job. So the digital transformation that is happening is trying to fill a gap, and that's why a lot of people excited about it. But we cannot say it's gonna replace people. And now this is the realistic, optimistic. AI will do 80% of the solution, and human being is the one who's gonna perfect it. The most important thing, and a good example of that, is the autopilot. The autopilot in all the planes is amazing and doing a great job, but still they require a pilot to sit in the cockpit. Why? Because the human being is the factor that's going to bring everything to perfection. And if we want to talk about here optimistic and realistic, some people say, do you think surveying is going to be DIY? Of course not. Somebody has to sign, somebody has to be responsible. And I want to end my presentation with the take-home message. Embrace AI. It's not a question of whether AI will impact surveying, but how. And this is what, of course, saying from the past about the digital change, or you will be changed. This is at the career level and at the company level. This is the best time to go and start learning about AI. And here, you see the example. This was in the NFL. There was some robots in the Miami game. Just, preparing people for the future. And thank you very much. And I will be happy if you have any question or discussion. I'll be happy to answer.
Ooh, where to start with that one? I did like Connie's playing SimCity will finally eventually pay off. Those are funny. What that's gonna be a lot to digest. I have to watch this a couple times. Anybody look, everybody's kind of still laughing, still trying to take it in. Connie, you got something? You unmuted, so
But not really. It's fascinating. I've been
yeah.
playing with ChatGPT. I've been trying to get it to do a number of things, some more successful than others. And actually, this is probably a little bit of a sidetrack topic, but one of my burning interests that I want to solve, but I haven't learned how to do a lot of it yet, is machine learning training and how to apply it to reading existing mapping documentation. So obviously I'm not at the forefront of AI. So, Youssef, do you know who is leading those efforts regarding, I know we have the handwriting recognition, we have OCR. The next step would be to start getting historic documents digitized and actually have them make sense to a point where we can feed them into AI and get benefit from doing it, instead of having to have a quote unquote human interface spending a lot of time digitizing that information.
This reminds me of the example that I mentioned. A group of people, they said there's a lot of videos, so they created their own code before they feed it into the ChatGPT, because everything you have, it has to be transformed into textual format so ChatGPT can provide context. So what they did, you're talking about maps. So I would say map GPT, let's say. The
Mhm.
product is Map GPT, where you throw it in you throw a map, and then before it takes it, there is a module before it takes it to the Chat GPT that
Mhm.
extracts everything from that map, all the information.
Mhm.
So if map is provided as an image, then you have
Mhm.
image computer vision. Of course, it's going to be all the work at capturing
Mhm.
all the feature in that image
Mhm.
and the map. If you're talking about shapefile, it's even better. Maybe it's easier, you know. So depending on the complexity of the input, I would say. But once it reaches a point where you have you build some text about that product, then ChatGPT, you can take it into the conversational level. And that's exactly what they did with the video. They throw the video and then they wrote an algorithm that look at all the images in the video, if it's mountains, if it's scenic views, whatever. And then it takes all the captions, whatever text is being there, capture it and put it all in one place. And then the people will start interacting about the content of that video through
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Like for
So
example, what I do a lot is boundary analysis, and
I
I'll give
see.
you just the most recent project as an example. I had 63 different maps to evaluate and probably 180 legal descriptions. And this is all old information from the turn of the century up to 1960s. Everything is in paper. By the time I read and start digesting a lot of that information, I know I'm forgetting some of it. And even when I have technicians trying to summarize this data so that I can put together a good structure about, history of the monumentation and different junior senior rights and the entire complex interplay of this data to determine the boundary, what I really need to have is some sort of a database that helps me do a statistical analysis of evaluating this data, putting it, setting the hierarchies, and see how I'm going to get from A to
And
B. So
the
that
legal descriptions, they all have map component or it's text.
legal descriptions, no, sometimes they have a map, other times it's just a verbal legal description. And I mean,
I see.
when you look at historical documents, they can come in 15 different formats. So it's not a matter of just
Of course.
training your machine, what is it called, machine learning to figure out one type of the map. There is a whole big, but to me that's the future of, for example, the mapping and the legal stuff. I want to be able to classify and sort all this evidence so then I can analyze this complex system statistically, instead of what they talk about, all boundary determination is an art. Well, my never to be humble opinion, we always call it an art because it's such a complex system that no single human being can describe the full system. It would take a little bit of a, probably somebody to do a paper and applied mathematics in order to describe how the system works. So I want AI
The-
to do that for me.
And the good thing is that you have immense amount of data.
Yeah.
Wherever you have immense amount of data, this is where AI can perform better.
So is anybody
So
working on this?
actually, you just said it, so I'm gonna maybe put it in my next presentation. Talk about it as a,
No,
as a
I'm,
potential, a
Good. If
potential
you're
area because
interested,
there
we
is a
can
synergy
collaborate.
happening now.
I'm wondering who's trademarking Map GTP. While we were doing that, I was typing
I'll
in
probably like Tesla and give it all away to somebody.
yeah, the video GPT. I just kind of typed that into Google. Holy moly, you can go down some rabbit holes on this stuff. So,
Yeah.
boy, Ben said in the chat, people will take time to build the trust in AI. It will become a commodity. Actual intelligence will still be valued, of course. So, yep. Which is, you had alluded to that in the presentation as well. Like, there's
And
still
this
gonna
is
be,
like the ATM machine. When the ATM machine came, people said, "Oh, don't wanna ATM is gonna make people lose their jobs, and how do I trust that it's not gonna make a mistake? It's a machine."
yeah,
So in the past, before the ATM used to go to a bank, maybe it has 10 or 20 employees. With the ATM, it's 3. if you want to look at AI from that perspective, I'm talking about losing jobs or gaining jobs. Some people would say, okay, it has 3 employees, but you have 5 branches of the bank instead of 1.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Because it's less demanding, less pressure on the team, and
Yeah, exactly.
so
Mhm.
if I miss anything from the chat, please go ahead and I'm listening if you want to participate.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
There's a couple of things flying around in there. Oh, I was just gonna say something. I forgot. That's what it was. The one of the things with the AI as well, the baby boomers, all the baby boomers will be over the age of 65. I think it's by 2029, I believe. And so that's a lot of some of this AI as well. I had some conversations with people who had gone to presentations before that some of the AI stuff we're doing now, even just the automation things like at the fast food restaurants or those kind of things, are even years behind because they're, like you talk about, they're just wanting a body to show up, right? And so a lot of this, a lot of the stuff happening in the fast food industry is years behind because they're so short staffed as well. But with that, every generation is getting smaller, so there's going to be less bodies to fill every single position. And so, but the baby boomer being the biggest generation there was is almost going to be into full retirement within the next like 5 or 6 years. So all of that stuff plays into the AI as well. So those were a couple of things that I'd heard over the last 6 months or so, but I thought that's interesting. But
I saw the comment from Heather. Yeah, and of course, civil defense people are great people. Gaming industry, I would say they benefit from the digital twin, so you can make the games, and it's a lot of money, the gaming industry, and I would say like immersive experiences, because a lot of people are trying to promote their cities or their tourism, or like the Grand Canyon or any place that you think of, where you can go and have a 3D immersive experience before you even visit the place. You know how it's exactly. I'm not talking about street view, talking about basically feeling exactly virtually that you're there. And so when I was in Esri user conference in 2022, I met a guy from Stanford with a startup company. He told me, we go to the companies, we take their 3D with whatever facility they have, and we put it in the digital twin, and we charge FedEx and DHL for indoor navigation per shipment. So if they reach a big building and they want to go to a specific office, they subscribe to this 3D company in order to navigate indoor, which is like for me something really nice, and yeah. So
back to Heather's comments too in there. I know here in Las Vegas, our regional transportation, they went through and did LiDAR data on all of their major corridors. I think they went with and I see Robert jumped off, but I think I want to say 60 foot wide corridors or larger. They went through and they did 3D mapping on all of it. And then so if it comes to designing it with inside their corridor, you would go and, if you need to, go and purchase that data as well. So along those same kind of lines, Heather, they would run through it all and then basically resell it back to the design world. So, and then it goes back to Ben's comments about building the trust too. And I one of the things I was kind of laughing at during your presentation, I was thinking of John, when it come to expert witness, how do you quantify? I was given the data by whatever, some jurisdiction, right? I know that you said everybody's got to kind of put the metadata on there and how accurate it is, but I think about lawsuits down the road of how this data was collected by somebody else and what kind of rabbit hole that's going to turn into. So that was kind of was kind of thinking of you, John, when that came about. Like, I can only imagine, from an extrovert witness standpoint, like, oh no, I didn't collect the data. Well, what do you mean you didn't collect the data? Then who collected the data, right? And why is he not
Of
here on the
course, of
stand? And
course.
all of
And
these
that's
different things.
exactly what
Yeah.
USGS is not one subcontractor that is collecting the data.
Yeah.
When they do the 3DEP, I don't know if you're familiar with the 3DEP, but
I've
at the
heard about
end,
the
they have,
program.
they have a data provenance, and they have a data quality team that, at least if the data is not up to the standards, it will explain what's, what is there.
When I
George,
was,
you got something? Go
yeah,
for it.
when I was learning to survey, I was told it doesn't matter where you get the information, whether you collect it yourself, you get it from somebody else, you better check it. And that's your responsibility, is to check the data, even your own.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, guess what?
Yeah.
You're going to have a problem eventually,
Right.
probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it, John.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point, because it's already kind of an issue, because most of the stuff, well, really everything we rely upon as surveyors, all the evidence, it's generated by somebody else. We get it from some other source. That we have our own measurements that we do, but that's such a small part of the boundary analysis, like Connie was talking about. Maps and surveys and legal descriptions and documents, historical documents.
Yep.
And one of the more important parts of gathering all that evidence and all that information that we rely upon has always been get a copy, get a hold of the metadata that comes with that aerial image, because you need to know the date and the source and where that thing comes from. Same thing with all the deeds, and did you personally gather this deed, or was it something that was provided to you, say by the attorney? So whenever I get that kind of information, I always categorize it into, here's the research that I got from this particular source on this particular day, and keep track of that metadata, because it's often asked, well, you didn't prepare this, did you? And it's like, well, yes, I did, but it's a compilation of information from these sources, and being able to say where those sources are, because that's what brings the reliability into the courtroom, is the ability of the metadata.
Good points. Yeah. It'll be interesting. The web we are weaving, right?
Yeah. An intricate one at that.
Yes, very much so. Jesse jumped in and said Oregon's looks like they're doing LiDAR on a lot of their quarters as well. So good stuff. Anybody else? It's got to be more. What else you got, Connie? No?
I want to say something before we end this conversation.
Of course.
About the education. All the universities now are looking at micro-credentials. So one question I got on last time I presented, the person said, okay, I'm interested, where should I go? Of course, we have the NSPS, that's the first thing. We have FIG, we have ASPRS, American Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing, and we have, so at the organizations level and the professional organization levels, every single annual meeting, or maybe at the local state level meeting, there is an opportunity for a workshop. My suggestion is, if you see something related to AI, first thing is to invest in yourself and go to these workshops. Second level, I would say this is number one. Second level is LinkedIn. When you are on social media and you see an article, of course, you follow people that inspire you, who are leaders in the geospatial industry and the surveying industry. So those people that you follow, if they share an article about AI, make sure you click on it, even if you understand 10% of it. Second article, keep exposing yourself to those vocabulary. Once you build a good vocabulary, you'll be able to engage into an intellectual conversation that position you as an AI person, not AI in a way that you build the car. No, computer science people are the people who build the car. Our job is to drive it. So don't be scared. Nobody is asking you to build the algorithm.
Yeah.
So our job is to drive the car. So it's not really a sophisticated task. You have just to know, to learn how you can leverage it and benefit from it. So
Great points. Great
yeah.
points. One in the chat from Jesse. How do you expect AI to help with urban planning? And then how do you think surveying will be involved with those efforts?
I would say, like, if I look at the University of Florida level, we have an urban planning department. So very soon they are working on a curriculum, and every single, I will tell you something. If you ask me about AI is going to impact everything. Any task that can be automated and you have the data, the immense data that will allow you to train it to be automated, this is where you will see AI coming. Now, will it take things to the perfection level where automation and then you have the deliverable? I don't think so. There will be a certain component where the human being will be included. I apologize from Jesse. I don't have really a vertical, knowledge about urban planning challenges, what they go through, but my answer is about AI in general.
I would suppose just from a AI standpoint with, and I'm sure it's probably being used to some degree now, but just layouts, right? And sun angles or certain things like that, right? For maybe environmental efficiencies and certain things like that, that would probably play a pretty good role in laying out streets and that kind of stuff. So
Some of the urban planning is about how people respond to their environment. And
Yeah.
I think with AI, especially with some of the digital twinning, if we have cameras and sensors, we might be able to get a better picture of how people are going to react to their environment and how and the use preferences. So then we will be able, for example, right now we have a lot of people moving out of the cities into more distant areas because nobody lives to live in near a downtown close to the office. They do it because they have to. So there's this whole little revolution happening of urban planners are looking at, okay, so how do we reuse the city downtowns? How do we transform all of this? So the more you can track people's movements and habits, and like Yusuf said, you'll be able to track how people feel about certain things. You're going to be able to capitalize on providing people what it is that they actually prefer, and still make money at it for the business people.
Along those same lines, I had heard maybe last year or 18 months ago that the average person is on a camera like 754 times a day or something like that. Because if through going to the gas stations or going through red light cameras or traffic cameras or office cameras or whatever, but you're on camera upwards of over 750 times a day. So that was
If you have your phone, you don't need the extra cameras. You're always
yeah, exactly.
That could even be considered part of Monday mentoring.
Yeah.
Mondays.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that was a pretty
That's an hour plus each time, pretty much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every one of these cameras, right? So very cool. Anybody got anything else they want to kind of chime in on? That was a great start to the conversation. It's only going to get bigger, right? I mean, it's like I say, it'll be in every aspect of our lives here within, say, 10 years or less, probably.
And we're talking about people who I'm talking about the new generation.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem spending 8 hours on the iPad and then,
right,
7 hours, and they can achieve things that you feel like. So
Yeah.
the future generation is more fit for the metaverse, for the,
Yeah.
because less interaction, less people skill. I'm not saying I look at my son and I know, like, the way he's, everybody, they stay at home, they do things, and they still manage to look at it as a
Yeah. The virtual world that you even talk about with your dog, that's gonna be wild. Those interactions, that's gonna be crazy. So That was fun. Anything else? Anybody want add anything else? All right. Well, we'll have to do it. Maybe we'll do something every 6 months and get the latest AI trends.
I'll be more than happy.
Heck
This is a
yeah.
work in progress.
I know,
thing,
absolutely. I
and
love
I'm
it.
growing it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And I appreciate the insight from
Of
everybody today.
Yeah, no, of course.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a good week. Thank you, Yusef.
Thank
It was
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
night.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.